Hey, let's talk some baseball, and let's bring up Richard Bergstrom. He is the founder and senior writer for RockiesZingers.com. I got that right, Richard?
Yeah.
RockiesZingers.com. Richard Bergstrom joining us.
Wouldn't if you founded a website, you'd call yourself the senior editor or senior
Of course,
writer?
you can call yourself anything you want. Right?
Well, Dingers and Zingers was taken by a Phillies blog in the 90s. So.
Founder sounds good, though.
Founder sounds
Founder
good.
always sounds good. Now, for those wondering, Rocky Zingers is a website. It's dedicated to covering the Colorado Rockies. And one of the lines on the website says, it is a site by Rockies fans for Rockies fans.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, Richard.
Welcome.
Thanks for coming by. What prompted you to start the website?
You know, I've always wanted to be in baseball writing, and I grew up a Cubs fan, but I've been living in Denver for the last 13 years. Yeah. And I finally started realizing, taking my daughter to the games, she was rooting for the Rockies, and I hadn't been to Wrigley in like 10 years and converted over. I mean, I went to the 07 World Series, had seats for the entire homestand, and got this opportunity to run in the Sweet Spot blog with ESPN and ran with it.
So a Rockies convert. Mm-hmm. And a baseball lover, and a writer.
Yeah.
All right, so it makes sense.
Well, I like to hope I'm a writer. You know.
I've got some truthful questions, and we talked about bloggers one day, and it bothered me that bloggers for the Broncos were going to school in New Mexico, or there is a Rockies blogger that lives in California. And I'm not going to sit here and talk about writing ability and everything, but I don't know how in the world I would cover Arsenal, which is in London, by sitting here in Denver, Colorado. You are here, but that was where this conversation started that led to, let's bring some of the bloggers along. Les made the point that you have more limited access to players and coaches and general managers, even though you go to games. Do you feel like you have enough equipment and access that you can write? And the second part of that long question is, as a fan, can you really be objective about this when you are a fan of the Rockies?
Well, which I think goes to the question, the heart of the question is, what are you trying to accomplish with the website?
Well,
yes?
That's fine. Is it because there are people like us that are out there being negative about the Rockies that you want to present another side to the Rockies' future? We've thrown a lot of stuff at you. That sounds like De La Rosa. So take any of that and answer any of that.
We'll tick them on off. Some of our writers and some of the other blogs writers are not located in Denver. Rocky Zingers, we have 11 writers, and we've got 5 of them located in the Denver area. Some grew up in Colorado and are going out of state to college. Turns out we have 2 writers that are in Albuquerque, and they're able to cover the isotopes. But it is a fair comment as far as, it helps to have writers located in the team, in the city of the team that you're covering. I didn't start up Rocky Zingers with the idea of I'm going to write something, opposing a certain person. I like baseball. I like looking at the stats, and I also like having fun with it. And so the niche that I identified was some analysis and some silliness. I do stats on how the Rockies do on the road, and I do Doctor Who parodies. It just depends.
So you're not trying to compete with more conventional newspaper like the Denver Post?
No, I think the Denver Post does a fine job, MLB.com, Associated Press, and also there are Rockies blogs who do more of the angled towards journalism. They do game recaps. They do extensive minor league coverage like Purple Row. They do, if I thought that I could do a better job, I would go in that space.
So the niche you're trying to fill is?
Some analysis, some silliness.
Okay.
We have fun and we look at the stats. Some blogs are more biased than others, and even just within a blog, you'll have multiple writers in a blog. Some are more biased than others, just like the Denver Post has a variety of writers with a variety of different voices. And, what people look at the numbers, some will use them correctly, some will have a bias, just like in any kind of profession. But the main thing is that a lot of the bloggers have full-time jobs doing something else. They're taking time out of their day, away from their families, to write about something that they're passionate about. Sometimes we'll look for silver linings to try to, keep us going after the Rockies, but we can be pretty darn critical too. We've had bloggers call for boycotts. We've had bloggers, oppose ownership or oppose the general managers. There's a variety of voices in the Rockies blogosphere, and it's actually a very good community. We've had blogger panels. We've had people from the various blogs come and talk, and we'll get into it with each other. Hi, Drew. You know, we'll have very opposing viewpoints on what to do with the Rockies. Some love Kyle Kendrick. I don't. Some love Bridich. I'm giving him some time. Some think that the Montforts are the worst owners in the business. I've been a Cubs fan. I've seen worse. So it really just depends.
That's a good point.
Did that touch all the questions? I was trying to make sure.
Yeah, you know, a lot of them, but I think that's great billboards in town would be Dick Mofford and the Rockies. We've seen worse.
You know, you should be able to have your cake and eat it too. You should be the Montforts are very good at, as you said on a show. I think it was when the Oriole thing came out. That they're good at the brand of baseball. Coors Field is an inexpensive place to watch a game. The field is nice. It's a good brand. But you should be able to have your cake and eat it too. You should be able to have a good baseball team at a good place to watch baseball. And the good baseball team is a part that we're still trying to figure out.
That segment brought to you by Cooney Lexus of Greenwood Village. It's Colorado's #1 volume Lexus dealer, conveniently located at I-25 and Bellevue. View their current specials, view their large selection of new and certified pre-owned vehicles at Cooney Lexus of GreenwoodVillage.com.
Okay, we've gotten through the blogging aspect. What would you do to make this team better? I mean, you are looking at it from a different viewpoint we are. You're looking at it from a fans and having fun kind of perspective. Is that fair to put it that way?
It's fair.
Yeah. But you're a fan. All right, you're a fan and you're a blogger. What do they have to do here to make this team better, or do you care?
I definitely care. I mean, it's definitely more fun to watch good baseball and, and watch prospects force their way to the majors instead of just kind of get thrown to the majors hoping they'll stick. Like you said a few shows ago, the Rockies should invest more in pitching. But the problem with the Rockies is that since all their hitters are overvalued and all their pitchers are undervalued, they're like buying pitching using the euro and they're selling off their hitters in the Canadian dollar. There's this big trade gap. They do have to trade and develop, draft and develop. What I would like them to do is either go for a big name pitcher. I mean, I wasn't a fan of Shields, like a Scherzer type. They could have gone for something like that. But what I think would even be better is to trade for a really good pitcher who's had success in Coors before, or sign a really good pitcher who's had success at Coors. That might get past the stigma of, pitchers can't do well at Coors Field. Ian Kennedy is coming up as a free agent, and he has one of the best track records at Coors Field, and he's also not going to be at the Price upper tier star level. It's possible the Rockies could jump on him and get him while everybody's tied up with Price.
Richard, I want to talk bigger picture here. I understand that we're all trying to figure out how they can put a better product on the field, but I believe, and I think Woody does too in some respects, that this is a more global problem with this franchise. So Patrick Saunders from the Denver Post tweeted out today that the Rockies' record in the last 5 years is worse. Their winning percentage is worse than it was in their first 5 years of existence. Mm-hmm. That was an expansion team.
Yeah.
And they made the playoffs in '95. This team hasn't even made the playoffs in the last 5 years. So you can make the case they are worse than an expansion team. So where does the blame lie? Where would you say the blame lies? And pick among owner, general managership, product on the field. Manager. Okay, throw manager in.
Can I choose?
Where does the problem right now lie?
I would choose the culture, the overall system. They should, it would have been nice if they'd at least evaluated some outside talent before promoting Bridich. But on the other hand, I mean, I was against the Bridich hire because I'm like, you need somebody with a different perspective. But a lot of people that I talked to who are independent of the Rockies were saying he's one of the bright stars. But there's an organizational flaw that's going on here. We've seen it this year. We saw it last year where Arenado gets hurt, and the best that we can come up with is teaching Culberson to play third base on the fly, or moving Kadire, who hasn't played there since the 20s, over to third base. We have Dickerson having problems, and instead of promoting one of our outfielders from the minors and giving them a shot, we just move up over there. There's this fundamental disconnect sometimes between what's supposed to be a top 10 farm system and how well it's able to reinforce. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, I read recently an objective report, I believe, that said they were 14th, and I keep coming back to...
The farm system.
Yeah, the farm
ranked
system.
14th.
And I count it all the time. I counted it today. There are 7 players on the roster that came up through the system. That is not what you're claiming to be. Draft and development is not when 8 of your 12 pitchers are from another organization.
They're not following their own stated plan
That's
of
what,
draft and
that's
development.
what bothers me. And you talk about bloggers as opposed to, I mean, we're getting enough positive stuff about the Rockies from their controlled media, MLB, Root, and KOA.
ColoradoRockies.com.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and KOA.
Yeah.
My philosophy, just so the other bloggers that are watching this, they want to pick on me and Kisla all the time, is we hear that side every night. I watch all the games. I'm either there or watch them. We hear that. I think there needs to be some balance from the other side. And it's like the bloggers feel like, based on the ones I read, that they have to balance us. Well, there's already this massive marketing balance that exists.
You know, I would say 90% of what's being written isn't with, to be honest, Woody Paige in mind. That's their own
yeah.
personal.
And I don't care, really.
No, I understand. But I'm just saying, you know, some people are more optimistic than others. Some people are more pessimistic. You know, from my own kind of views, I've seen worse organizations than the Rockies. We're not talking about, you know, needing
Goes
a
to
Cubs,
Billboard.
Pirates.
There are worse organizations, not this year.
There aren't many worse,
Well,
all
it
right?
depends. Do you want to do a Cubs, Pirates, Astros rebuild where you trade every single valuable player? I mean, going beyond Tulo, going on down to Arenado and getting some kind of prospects, rebuild the system and wait 5 to 7 years. The Rockies, the Rockies have some major league talent. They have some minor league talent. It's not the Pirates with just Jason Bay.
No, but the way they're doing it isn't working.
The way they're doing it is not working. And they, in portion as well, they got unlucky last year, not just with injuries, but with being able to scoring runs. I mean, it doesn't make sense why an offense this good is so low in the league in scoring runs. And it looks like, you know, what happened last year as far as being able to have the top offense in the National League, it might not happen this year.
I advocated trading Tulo over the weekend, and a number of bloggers started a not so fun conversation with me. That was the.
And you got even less fun.
I got
than
into
they
it.
did.
I got into it. Let's just leave it at that. Would you trade Tulo, and what do you need to get in return?
Tulo is hard to replace. I, at this point, would keep Tulo at least until the trading deadline and hope he recoups some offensive value. My fear is that he ends up devaluating himself so that a trade to the Yankees works and he's able to pick up prospects. But if I was going to get somebody, you know, Troy Rank put it well, you've got to get a position player, you've got to get a pitcher, and I'd like somebody as an established like pitcher, somebody not just an innings eater like a Kyle Kendrick type, but a quality innings eater. We have to increase what we consider to be good with the Colorado Rockies.
That's always driven me crazy. We want an innings eater. No, you want a guy who throws a lot of innings and can also win.
Yeah.
Let's get
You
rid
want
of those.
you want quality.
And just for a matter of discussion here, I'm fine with Kyle Kindred as a fourth pitcher.
Sure.
But he's not the ace of your rotation, even if he's had 2 quality starts lately.
Well,
And he lost.
the idea with Kendrick, from what I'm thinking, is that they wanted him to be a stopgap until Gray and Butler were ready. The trick is Gray and Butler are not ready. And that, again, is an organizational issue.
Yeah. Richard, we really appreciate your time. Glad you came
See,
by.
it was painless,
Glad
wasn't
we
it?
got to talk in the press box this week. Richard Bergstrom, he is the founder and writer for
Maybe you'll come back sometime.
RockiesZingers.com, one of the Rockies blogs.